You ever notice people say they want the truth, but the moment you give it to them, they look at you like you just kicked their emotional puppy? Be honest with me, they say, until you actually are. Then it's, well, not like that. Nobody really wants the truth. They just want a nicer version of their favorite lie. We live in a world where honesty is treated like a social disease, contagious, uncomfortable, and best avoided in public places. Everyone claims to value transparency, but what they really want is confirmation. The truth, as long as it fits their taste. We've become so soft that even reality has to come with a trigger warning. People don't chase truth. They chase comfort dressed up as insight. You've seen it. The positive mindset of crowd with their good vibes only mugs and Instagram quotes about authenticity. Authenticity? Please. Most of them couldn't handle 5 minutes of it. They say speak your truth. But what they really mean is to say something that flatters me and agrees with my worldview. Truth doesn't sell, man. Comfort sells. It's the best business on earth. Religion, politics, advertising, even therapy, all one big comfort factory. You don't pay people to tell you the truth. You pay them to tell you what you hope is true. Nobody wants a wake-up call. They want a lullaby. The whole culture is built around avoiding truth. Look at religion. Centuries of practice in packaging comfort as divine revelation. Don't worry about death, there's heaven. Don't question your suffering, there's a plan. It's not about understanding the universe, it's about feeling safe in it. And that's fine, until people start mistaking comfort for wisdom. You can't grow when you're wrapped in a blanket of make-believe. But people love that blanket, soft, warm, and completely delusional. We even got spiritual influencers now. Folks who can't even spell consciousness but are selling it in monthly subscriptions. You can't get closer to truth by scrolling through enlightenment quotes between Amazon ads. And then there's politics, the professional comfort industry. Both sides telling their people what they want to hear. You're the good guys. Oh, they're the bad guys. Well, you're oppressed. You're a patriot. Nobody's telling the truth. They're selling comfort to their audience. Politicians don't deal in facts, they deal in emotional narcotics. Each speech a hit of dopamine designed to keep you loyal and numb. You think a politician wants you informed? Hell no. An informed voter is unpredictable. A comfortable voter is controllable. Comfort keeps the system running, not truth. The moment people wake up and see how ridiculous it all is, the system collapses, so they feed you just enough truth to sound credible and then bury it under a mountain of slogans and smiles. And people like it that way. You ever try telling someone the truth about their beliefs? Their face changes, their smile freezes. You can see the panic behind their eyes, like you just unplugged their life support. How dare you say that? Well, I dared because you asked for honesty, remember? But what they really wanted was reassurance. They wanted you to agree, not awaken. Truth-seeking has become offensive. People say, don't be so negative, when you point out reality. We've turned honesty into hate speech. The moment you stop sugarcoating, they call you cynical. The moment you question the narrative, you're a toxic. It's not that people can't handle the truth. They just prefer the taste of lies. Sugar-coated, pre-approved, and algorithmically optimized lies. And the media. Oh, that's the cathedral of comfort. Every headline designed to tell you what you already believe. They don't inform you. They reinforce you. Each news outlet a mirror for a specific kind of audience ego. The right gets the comfort, the left gets theirs, and everyone sleeps better knowing they're morally superior. You don't tune in to learn anymore. You tune in to be told you're right. That's why truth is so hated. It doesn't pick sides. It doesn't flatter anyone. It doesn't give medals for agreement. Truth doesn't care how you feel. And that's why it's the loneliest thing in the world right now. It's got no fan club. Social media made it worse. Now comfort comes in pixels. People post about it living authentically, then use 10 filters and delete comments that disagree. Everyone's building their personal truth bubble. Carefully curated, emotionally temperature controlled. You can't even disagree politely anymore. Say something true that challenges a belief. And suddenly you're labeled. Toxic, problematic, canceled. The modern world doesn't burn books, it just blocks accounts. That's the new censorship. Not silence, but noise. Drown the truth in enough nonsense and nobody can hear it anymore. We've built our lives around distraction because truth lives in silence, and silence scares people. Sit alone for 10 minutes, no phone, no music, just your own thoughts. Watch how fast people panic. We've trained ourselves to fear awareness. People say they want mindfulness, but they don't want to see what's in their own minds. Not mindfulness, that's marketing. Every commercial, every app, every piece of content says the same thing. Don't think too hard. Don't look too deep. Just keep scrolling. Because once you stop and really see, you can't unsee. And when you can't unsee, you stop buying the bullshit. That's dangerous. For business, for religion, for the illusion industry. So they make sure the truth always looks boring, uncomfortable, and uncool. And you can tell how afraid people are of truth by how much energy they put into hiding from it. Look at all the noise in the world. Look at how we glorify being a busy. Busy is the adult version of hide and seek. If you're busy enough, you don't have to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Just stay in motion, and maybe meaning will catch up later. It never does, but hey, at least you look productive. Truth makes people question their routines, their jobs, their relationships. And nobody wants that. People don't want clarity. They want continuity. Keep the same loop running. Comfort disguised as progress. Truth breaks loops, and that's why it's hated. Stops the hypnosis. Even in relationships, same thing. But tell me the truth, they say, but what they really mean is to tell me I'm right. Try being honest with someone about their behavior and watch how fast they get defensive. The truth doesn't destroy relationships. Denial does, but denial's easier to hug at night. That's why people prefer lies. They're emotionally ergonomic. You can shape them to fit your needs. Truth has sharp edges. It doesn't bend, it doesn't flatter. And in a world built on emotional convenience, that's intolerable. We don't just avoid truth. We redecorate around it, pretend it's not in the room, and then blame someone else when things fall apart. The truth used to be something people respected. Now it's treated like an opinion. But that's your truth. No, that's your comfort zone. We've turned truth into a matter of taste, like coffee or politics. People pick their preferred version of reality the way they pick ice cream flavors. Whatever goes down smoothest. I like my truth empowering with a touch of positivity. Yeah, and I like mine brutal, black, and unfiltered, because at least it wakes you up. But this generation doesn't want waking up. They want reassurance that sleeping in is self-care. Truth doesn't trend because it doesn't compliment anyone. You can't go viral with something that makes people look in the mirror. And that's the tragedy. Truth seekers aren't rare. They're just quiet. They've learned that honesty gets punished. Speak truth too loudly and watch people scatter. Nobody wants to be around a mirror that actually reflects them. They'll call you bitter, negative, arrogant, anything but correct. The truth doesn't make friends, it makes exits. That's why most people stop telling it. They learn early that honesty doesn't get applause, it gets isolation. And that's the real reason truth is dying. Not because it's hard to find, but because it's hard to live with once you've found it. The irony is, deep down, everyone knows. Everyone feels that something's off. The phoniness, the pressure, the endless pretending. But admitting it would mean changing something, and change means discomfort. So they stay quiet. They post inspirational quotes, go to yoga, light a candle, and call it peace. It's not peace, it's sedation. The world runs on emotional anesthesia. Keep everyone calm, entertained, and uninformed. That's the formula. Real truth doesn't need followers, it needs courage. And courage is rare because courage is uncomfortable. The real truth is simple. People don't want to wake up because waking up means you've got to see how little control you actually have. How fragile your beliefs are. How much nonsense you've accepted as normal. Comfort says you're doing great, everything's fine. Truth says you've been sleepwalking through a circus. And between those two voices, guess which one gets muted first? The one that ruins the fantasy. Truth is the alarm clock of the soul, and people keep hitting snooze. They don't hate truth because it's wrong. They hate it because it's right too early in the morning. And nobody likes waking up to reality, especially when they've been dreaming of comfort. But eventually, even dreams get tired. And when that happens, truth doesn't shout, it whispers, it waits. And the moment you stop pretending, you finally hear it. Because truth doesn't go away, It just waits for you to run out of lies. You know what really drives people crazy about truth seekers? It's not that they're wrong, it's that they don't play along. Everyone else is performing, clapping, nodding, smiling, pretending the show makes sense. And the truth seeker's the one who stands up and says, "Hey, is anyone else noticing this is all bullshit?" And right then, everyone else gets uncomfortable, not because they disagree, but because they do agree. They just don't want to admit it. That's the thing about truth seekers. They're not hated for lying, they're hated for noticing. And noticing is dangerous business in a world that depends on everyone staying conveniently blind. You walk into a room full of people who built their lives on polite illusions. Fake careers, fake values, fake happiness, and then you point out the cracks. That's not bravery, that's social suicide. You'll be the outcast before the echo fades. Because truth seekers don't let others keep their comfort intact, and that's unforgivable. They're like mirrors. Not the kind that flatter you under soft lighting, but the harsh fluorescent ones in a public restroom. They show everything. The lies, the compromises, the hypocrisy. People don't hate mirrors, they hate reflections. They hate being reminded that their convictions are rented and their confidence is borrowed. And that's why truth seekers are the most hated people alive, because they ruin the illusion party. The whole world's addicted to pretending, and these maniacs show up sober. You ever been around someone who's dead sober at a drunk party? They're not fun. They're not laughing at the jokes. They see the sloppiness, the nonsense, the desperation. That's what it's like being a truth seeker in this world. You walk around watching everyone acting like they've got it all figured out, and you just can't unsee the performance. You can't go back to pretending. Once your eyes adjust to the truth, darkness stops feeling safe. People think they love honesty until they meet someone who won't join the script. Then suddenly that person's a problem. Or too blunt, or too cynical, or too much. No, just too real. Too unwilling to play emotional dress-up. The truth seeker doesn't care about social choreography. They care about seeing things as they are. And that scares people. Because deep down, they know if one person starts tearing down the curtain, the whole theater might collapse. It's fragile, this whole system of mutual denial. You agree not to question my delusion. I agree not to question yours. That's the contract. And when someone breaks it, they get exiled. It's amazing how much energy people spend protecting lies. They'll fight for them, die for them, tattoo them on their bodies, elect them to office, worship them in temples, and pass them down like heirlooms. Truth seekers are like termites in that old house of illusion. Not loud, but steady. They don't destroy anything. They just reveal what was hollow all along. But instead of fixing it, people get angry at the termite. How dare you expose the rot? Couldn't you just let me live in peace? Sure, but it's not peace, it's sedation. And that's the part that eats people alive when they meet someone who sees too much. Because seeing means responsibility, and nobody wants that. People say they want awareness, but they want it like they want exercise. The idea, not the pain. Truth seekers make people face their own contradictions. You ever notice that? Someone complains about corruption while cheating on their taxes. Someone preaches kindness but screams at a waiter. Someone talks about saving the planet while driving a 3-ton ego machine. The truth seeker points it out, and suddenly they're judgmental. No, they're just allergic to hypocrisy. But in a world that runs on hypocrisy, that's like being allergic to air. You can't function without pretending a little. And truth seekers, they don't pretend well. That's what makes them dangerous. Not to the system, but to the illusion of normalcy. Because once one person stops pretending, others start wondering why they're still doing it. The world hates truth seekers because they refuse to belong. They don't worship the idols. Not fame, not money, not popularity, not approval. You can't manipulate someone who's not seduced by the rewards. That makes them unprofitable, dangerous, hard to sell to. You can't market to someone who's not buying the story. Truth seekers don't chase trends, they question them. They don't follow the crowd, they analyze it. They're not interested in being right, they're interested in being right. And that's terrifying to people who've built their whole lives around being seen as right. The truth seeker doesn't play that game, and that's why they get kicked off the playground. The most hated person in any group is the one who points out the obvious truth that everyone else agreed to ignore. At work, it's the guy who questions the boss's a brilliant plan. In school, it's the kid who asks why we're memorizing useless facts. In families, it's the one who says, hey, maybe we should stop pretending everything's fine. The truth seeker becomes the scapegoat because they disturb the peace. But it's not real peace. It's denial. It's the quiet of everyone holding their breath, hoping the house of cards doesn't collapse. And then along comes someone who exhales honesty, and suddenly they're the villain. You ever notice how people love truth in the abstract, but hate it in person? They'll post quotes like, the truth shall set you free. But if you actually tell them something true about their life, they'll block you faster than a pop-up ad. Everyone wants freedom, as long as it doesn't come with self-awareness. Truth doesn't set most people free, it makes them defensive. Because freedom means responsibility. And responsibility means you can't keep blaming the system, your parents, or your horoscope. The truth seeker holds up a mirror and nobody likes what they see. Because reflection hurts. You can't edit it, you can't filter it, and you can't lie to it. Even if people hate them. Especially because people hate them. The hate proves the illusion's fragile. It means the truth still has power. Every time someone says, you think too much, it's a compliment in disguise. It means you've stopped being predictable. You've stepped outside the hypnosis. And yeah, it's lonely out there. But it's real. There's something beautiful about seeing the world without filters, even when it's ugly, because at least it's honest. And honesty, no matter how painful, is still more alive than the prettiest lie. Truth seekers don't destroy the world, they reveal it. They remind people that comfort is temporary, but awareness is permanent. They walk through the noise, whispering what everyone secretly knows but won't say out loud. And the funny thing is, even the people who hate them need them. Because without them, we'd all drown in the noise, never knowing there was silence beneath it. Truth seekers are the unwanted lifeguards of consciousness, saving people who don't even realize they're underwater. And they'll keep doing it, no matter how much the world resists. Because once you've seen the light, pretending it's dark is impossible. People think truth is supposed to be noble, inspiring, uplifting. No, it's disruptive, it's uncomfortable, it's embarrassing. Truth isn't a warm hug, it's a slap across the face that says, wake up. And nobody likes to be woken up, especially when they've spent their whole life building a dream. You take away someone's illusions and they don't thank you. They hate you. You ruin their favorite lie and you become their least favorite person. That's why truth seekers walk alone. They see through the noise, and once you see through it, you can't live inside it anymore. You can still visit, but you can't belong. Because belonging means pretending again, and that's one addiction truth seekers can't relapse into. See, the world doesn't actually want truth seekers, it wants storytellers. People who make the lies sound elegant, people who dress the nonsense in poetry. That's who gets the applause. The smooth talkers, the illusionists, the charmers, the ones who can tell you you're free while holding your leash. They make everyone feel good about their cage. They call it purpose, progress, success, all just different flavors of distraction. And the truth seeker walks by, sees the whole carnival of self-deception and laughs. Not because it's funny, but because it's tragic. We've built a world that punishes awareness and rewards obedience. We're saying I don't believe makes you the problem instead of the pioneer. Every generation thinks it's more aware than the last, but awareness isn't about access to information. It's about courage to face it. And courage is in short supply. We have endless data, but no depth. Everyone's busy analyzing, comparing, posting, performing. Nobody's actually seeing. Truth seekers don't swim in that shallow pond. They dive. They go under where it's quiet and dark, where the filters fall off and the slogans don't mean anything. That's where truth hides. Not in headlines, not in hashtags, not in manifestos, but in the silent space between your own thoughts when you stop trying to win, stop trying to belong, stop trying to be seen. The truth doesn't show up until you stop performing. That's why most people can't find it. They're too busy acting. Life has become a stage where everyone's playing the good person, or the smart thinker, or the progressive, the spiritual, the skeptic. Every label's another mask, and the truth seeker. They're the one who throws theirs off and says, what's underneath all this costume crap? That's when the crowd boos, because they've invested too much in their roles to give them up now. You take away someone's identity and they panic. They've forgotten who they were before the performance started. Apocrypha. Truth seekers don't destroy meaning. They just remind people it was optional. People always say, be yourself, but they don't mean it. They mean it, be yourself. As long as it fits inside my comfort zone. The moment your truth starts to challenge their fiction, you're a threat. Because when someone stands up and refuses to play, it exposes how fake the game was. Truth seekers ruin the fun for everyone. They don't laugh at the right jokes. They don't clap for the wrong reasons. They don't worship the approved gods. Whether those gods are made of religion, politics, technology, or trends, they're outsiders by nature because the inside stopped making sense. And it's funny. People will call truth seekers arrogant, a negative, a pessimistic, as if noticing bullshit is a character flaw. It's not arrogance to say the emperor is naked, it's eyesight. But that's how society protects its delusion, by attacking perception. Don't think too much. Just stay positive. Or focus on the good. It's all code for a stop questioning. Keep your eyes closed, your mind sedated, and your spirit compliant. That's how the machine stays running. Truth seekers don't fit in the machine, they jam it. They see too clearly to spin the gears, and the gears don't forgive that. You want to know the irony? Deep down, everyone wants to be a truth seeker. They just don't want the consequence. They love the idea of rebellion, but not the isolation that comes with it. They love authenticity as long as it's marketable. They'll buy the t-shirt that says think different. But the moment you actually think different, they'll call you insane. Truth is trendy until it costs something. And the truth seeker pays full price. They lose friends, jobs, status, comfort, but they gain clarity. And clarity, once you've had it, is addictive. It's not pleasant, but it's powerful. It strips the nonsense off life and leaves you with what's real, however raw it is. People say truth hurts, but that's not true. Lies hurt longer. Truth stings once, then heals. Lies comfort you for a while, then rot you from the inside out. That's the difference. The truth seeker takes the pain up front. The rest of the world keeps it on layaway. The bill comes due eventually. Every fake smile, every swallowed question, every unspoken doubt, it piles up until it suffocates you. And then one day, you explode. You call it a midlife crisis. It's not a crisis, it's the truth catching up. It's reality finally demanding to be acknowledged after years of being buried under a positivity and a productivity. Truth seekers skip that part because they never stopped asking. They bleed early, but they heal honestly. And here's the thing about truth seekers. They don't think they're better than anyone else. They just refuse to stay asleep. They're not enlightened gurus sitting on mountains. They're exhausted realists walking through the fog saying, "Oh, none of this makes sense, but I'd rather see it clearly than dream it beautifully." They don't chase enlightenment. They stumble into it by tripping over all the lies everyone else stepped around. And that's why they don't belong to tribes or movements. Every group eventually builds its own mythology, and truth seekers can't worship that either. The moment something sacred turns into dogma, they're gone. They don't kneel to anything that demands blindness. The world keeps trying to turn truth into a brand, to package awareness like a product. Self-help books, spiritual coaches, motivational influencers, all selling clarity in installments. But truth isn't for sale, and it doesn't make you rich or famous. It makes you free. And freedom doesn't pay well in a world built on control. You can't monetize independence. You can't market critical thinking. That's why the loudest voices aren't the truth seekers. They're the salesmen dressed as prophets. Truth seekers don't sell you answers. They hand you mirrors. And mirrors don't make money because they don't flatter. The hardest part of being a truth seeker isn't being hated. It's watching people willingly chain themselves to lies, then call it purpose. Watching them defend their cages, decorate them, compete over who has the prettiest bars. Watching people confuse being busy with being alive, confuse agreement with understanding, confuse noise with meaning. The truth seeker doesn't mock that out of arrogance, but out of sadness. Sadness for a species that traded awareness for applause. The whole system depends on people staying comfortably distracted. It's not oppression anymore, it's entertainment. The modern chains are invisible. Glowing screens, endless updates, a constant feed of empty validation. You can't wake people who are addicted to their dreams. That's why truth seekers eventually stop arguing. They realize the battle isn't to convince anyone. It's to stay awake themselves. Because the noise is seductive, the lies are soft. Sleep looks peaceful from a distance, and sometimes the truth gets heavy, unbearable even. Seeing too much can make you cynical, tired, alienated. But that's when you remember, truth was never supposed to make you happy. It was supposed to make you free. Happiness built on ignorance isn't peace, it's sedation. Freedom built on awareness, that's where life starts. That's where everything raw and real begins, so the truth seeker keeps walking. Through rejection, misunderstanding, mockery, solitude, they keep walking. Because even if the world hates them, they've made peace with themselves. And that's the rarest kind of peace there is. The kind that doesn't need validation, doesn't need company, doesn't need applause. The kind that comes from looking life dead in the eye and saying, all right, I see you. You're messy, brutal, beautiful, and real, and I'm still here. That's truth. That's freedom. That's the quiet power the world will never understand and never destroy.